Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Today, we're going to be talking about the tarot card of the Magician. So let me find the Magician. And we'll talk a little bit about the deck as well. So, the standard, quote-unquote, tarot deck is the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And all of the imagery has been parsed out in a very intuitive way. There are decks now that have updated it a little bit. For example, people like to see representations of themselves in the deck that they're using. So now there are more decks that have non-white people in them and represent LGBT couples and people a little better. But as far as the symbolism is concerned, we'll just start with some of the decks that I have, and we'll go from there and kind of work within the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Golden Dawn symbolism. So, of course, we've already done the video about the Fool, which is equivalent to the path of Aleph if you are doing path working with the tarot. Which means that the Magician card is representative of the path of Beth. The next step in your path working journey. This deck is the Tarot of the New Vision, and the cards in this deck are depicting from a rear view, so you get a slightly different perspective than you would from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I also have, well, here, let me do the Art Nouveau Tarot first. Because the Art Nouveau Tarot as you can see, it's got this really beautiful embossing and gilding all over it. It's a very beautiful deck. I'm very glad that I purchased it. But the symbolism in this deck is very true to the Rider-Waite-Smith. So let me pull the Magician out from this deck as well. All right. And the Initiatory Tarot of the Golden Dawn. This, of course, being true to the Golden Dawn imagery. as you're getting to know your decks, kind of just flip through them as well. Hold on to them. Carrying them around and sleeping next to them is one thing. But really kind of look at the cards and ask yourself what the images mean to you. Now, your typical tarot deck is going to show this figure, the magician. And actually, one thing about this deck that is a little strange is that the wand is actually in the magician's hand, but they've depicted another wand here on the table. So there's a wand here, there's the sword, there's the chalice, and there is the pentacle. These represent the 4 suits of the tarot deck, but they're also the 4 tools that a magician will use for ritual and spell work, right? But like I said before, one thing that's a little bit weird about this deck in particular is that they're choosing to depict the staff here as well as in the hand, when truthfully, the wand is in the magician's hand. That shows the force that the magician is using to manifest his desires, right? Or their desires, rather. And let's also get out from the Cosmic Tarot deck. And we'll kind of compare all the decks, right? And the magician holding all of these elemental tools, right? The cups being water, the wands being fire, the swords being air, and the pentacles being earth. And all the additional correspondences therein. Also kind of holding those forces in the same energetic field as your aces in your deck. Okay? So not only is the magician this power of manifestation that you are holding as you hold all of the aces that are in the deck and the magical tools, but that the purest elemental forms of that energy are also reflected in the magician card. And in this card, he's got these 4 elements set up on his altar. He also has the infinity symbol in his forehead, and he's depicted as being Egyptian. Some of the very earliest magic does go back to Egypt, but certainly there are types of magic that are older than the Egyptian civilization as well. Symbolically, these 2 cards are very similar. The altar looks very similar on both cards. Do notice that on the Initiatory Tarot card that he has this belt, and also the brim of his hat have all of these astrological and planetary symbols, and that instead of the infinity sign being his symbol of manifestation, he's got a caduceus, which also ties him in with the imagery of healing and of being a doctor and a healer. So we've looked at all of these cards pretty closely. Again, on this one, his wand is down here and in his hand. He's got a little primate, a little monkey helper right here as well. And something to keep in mind with that symbolism is how similar, especially this guy looks like he might be a rhesus or a manga bee. Those smaller monkeys are actually very similar to humans. They have tiny little human hands, and they're very smart. So this could also be seen as a representation of like the not quite manifested energy. The monkey being just a step or two away from being the man, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few 3-card readings, showing you possibilities for interpretation with the Magician card upright and with the Magician card in the reverse. And if you would like to use this video as a pick a card video, the timestamps will be down in the description. So first will be the Initiatory Tarot Magician upright. Go ahead and look at the card for a minute. Just hold it up to the screen. Think about the different tools he has, the attitude that he carries in his posture, his surroundings. He's out in the middle of a field, his altar, what that looks like. And then I'm going to mix these up a little bit. And I'll just pick a couple of cards. And both of these will be in the reverse. But that's fine, because the Magician card is upright, and reverse doesn't always mean bad either. So here in the reverse, we have the Knight of Wands, and we have the Prince of Chalices. So in this case, it might be a situation where somebody is very good at manifesting things, but the Knight of Wands shows that a person is too hasty and is possibly allowing their haste to win out over their better judgment. Similarly with the Prince of Chalices, right? So the Knight of Wands, he's holding this burning torch, and he's running literally through fire. This Prince of Chalices, his chariot is actually being drawn by this eagle, which is a representation of the sign of Scorpio. So this could be a Scorpio person. He also has a cup here that's got a serpent in it. So this Prince of Chalices could be somebody who is very melancholy, morose, or could be kind of manipulative from an emotional standpoint. So whereas swords can be manipulative, people with sword sign air energy can be manipulative from a very psychological standpoint. when you have water energy in the reverse like this, that could be showing manipulation from an emotional standpoint. So if that is how this person is choosing to manifest things, it might not be a very stable situation. Likewise, if you are trying to manifest a love partner into your life, you might be doing a great job of manifestation, but you might only be getting guys like this, or people like that coming into your life. Because remember, this is just about masculine energies. It's not necessarily man or a woman. But that's two different ways to read how this is coming through. And of course, these could very easily be the same person, all rolled up into one crazy, crazy package. Let's pretend now that we have pulled the Magician and the Magician card has come out in the reverse. Let's look at that with a couple of other cards. So we have the High Priestess in the reverse, and we have the Three of Pentacles in the upright. So with both the Magician and the High Priestess coming out in the reverse here, that could be a warning to adjust how you are going about gaining information in order to manifest things in your life. Especially if you are doing law of attraction type stuff, which the Three of Pentacles, you may very well be involved in trying to manifest more resources for yourself. The High Priestess in the reverse, you might not have the information that you need. There could also be treachery afoot. And then the Magician in the reverse, that possibly blocking you. In very tangible terms, this High Priestess could represent somebody who is blocking you with magic, if that's the kind of thing that you have to deal with in your life. Not everybody does. Not every haunting is a curse. It's entirely possible to just have bad luck, and it's even more important to know how to discern whether something is a curse or whether it's just bad luck. So maybe I'll end up doing a video about that as well. But we do have this Three of Pentacles coming out in the upright. And the Three of Pentacles is people really respect your opinion. You're very credible. All right? So even if this is going on, you might be blocked in some ways, but people do still take meaning from the words that you speak. So perhaps it would be better, rather than trying to manifest things using extra physical energies like magic and ritual, it might be better to focus on the mundane for the time being until you're able to figure out what's going on with this situation with the High Priestess. Alright, so next let's look at the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot with the Magician in the upright. And again, take just a moment and reflect on the figure that you see on the card. Notice that he also has a lemniscate. That's what it's called. It's like a figure 8 turned on its side, and it's representative of infinity. It could be seen as something like a 2-dimensional representation of a Mobius strip, even, if you want to think of it that way. Think about the tools that are on the table in front of him. Think about what he's using for an altar, right? So in the last figure, we had more like a stone block for an altar, and here it seems like he's using more like a wooden table or a podium of some kind. And kind of look at what he's surrounded with. He does have this tree, actually, this bow right here behind him. And he seems to be possibly out in the forest somewhere. And so, let's pull some cards. Pull just a couple of cards. So, along with the Magician in the upright, we have the Eight of Pentacles in the upright, and we have the Four of Wands in the reverse. So, some of the ways that we could read this. The Four of Wands is about stability. It's also about a happy ending. Sometimes it's considered a card that can be a harbinger of marriage or engagement. We also have the Eight of Pentacles here, which is about a long-term career prospect. So, in this case, it's possible that you are focusing too much on manifesting this long-term career, and you're not really going to be manifesting the stability that goes along with it. This is especially important in fields like academia is like this. Entertainment is also like this, where you might be very successful in your field but have little to no job security. Now we're going to look at the Magician in the reverse. Look a little bit too at how this card being upside down changes the way that you perceive the figure on the card. So when he's upright, he looks like he's very much in charge and very powerful. In the reverse, he's kind of at the mercy of gravity now, right? And let's pull a couple of cards. So, we have, with this Magician reversed, the Knight of Chalices, and he's upright. And then we have the Four of Swords, and that Four of Swords is in the reverse. The Four of Swords could be, often it's about rest. So in the reverse here, it could be feeling like you can't catch your breath, feeling like you don't have an opportunity to just pause and collect yourself, right? And with the Knight of Chalices here, the Knight of Chalices is ruled by his emotions. If he shows up in the reverse, it could be to his detriment, but because he's showing up here in the upright, it could be a decision that you're making from your gut. And because the Magician is showing up here in the reverse, it could be that you are working to manifest a situation in which you will have more time to rest, but that it hasn't occurred yet. Or it could be that these two cards showing up in the reverse is a symptom of your life being very chaotic, and that your saving grace in all of these situations is going to be listening to your gut, listening to what your body is telling you. So next, let's look at the Cosmic Tarot. And again, just observe the card. Observe the different, even like the little plants down in the corners of the card. And the way that the light is not just emanating from his eyes, but from his third eye area in the middle of his forehead. And how there's a triangle or perhaps a pyramid there. Think about and resonate with your own feelings regarding the symbols on this card. Maybe you have a certain attachment to how the chalice looks. Maybe you like ancient Egypt a lot. Maybe you like this kind of flower. Or maybe there are things about the card that you don't resonate as much with. Notice those things too. I'm going to pull a couple of cards. And we'll just do a little 3-card reading and see how the cards fit together with each other. So the 2 cards that I pulled to go with the Magician in the upright are the 7 of Pentacles, which is about hard work for a reward, and the 4 of Cups, which is about having a lot of choices available to you, but not necessarily being crazy about any of them. So, to me, this speaks to a situation where you have a job, possibly, or you have job prospects, but you're going to have to work very hard to make the amount of money that you need. And I think a lot of us have been in situations like that before, where you're working much too hard for the money that you're getting. It could be that the Magician is coming out here because you are currently in this situation and would like a better situation. And therefore the Magician coming out here, he can use his alchemy and his spell work in order to manifest out of this situation what he desires, what you desire. So in this case, we're going to pretend that the Magician has come out in the reverse. And take a minute to look at how the symbolism changes. So remember that a triangle like this is the elemental symbol for fire. And when you turn it upside down, it becomes passive and it becomes the elemental symbol for water. And the way that things are arranged on his table changes a little bit too when you flip the card upside down. I'm going to draw a couple of cards here. So this is very similar to what I drew before. I got the Prince of Wands and the Prince of Cups in the reverse. And since I already drew that in the video, I wanted to show you that I had drawn it, because for somebody that's going to be a really strong confirmation of a message. But I will draw a couple of other cards. So what we have is the Ace of Swords in the reverse and the Ten of Swords in the reverse. Now, what this says to me is it's possible that you were trying very hard to manifest some certain outcome the way that you wanted it to be. The Magician being in the reverse could be in the past. The Ace of Swords has a very similar meaning, whether it shows up reversed or upright. But in this particular case, because it showed up in the reverse and the Ten of Swords has come out too and is in the reverse, it could be that you have forced something that didn't need to be forced, or that couldn't be forced, and that the result could have been disastrous. The Ten of Swords being a very harsh ending to something. All right, and finally we're going to look at the Tarot of the New Vision. And you can see on this card now that the Magician is actually performing for an audience in this deck, and has this little helper here by his side, or behind his back rather, and some of the tools are depicted as being here at his feet on the ground beside him. Again, I'm just going to draw a couple of cards and we'll see how they reflect. All right. So the two cards that have come out, we actually have the Four of Wands reversed and the Ten of Cups upright. Now, to me, it looks like it's possible that you have narrowly avoided an unfavorable engagement, so that there could have been somebody that perhaps you were dating for a long time, or maybe they really wanted to marry you, but you didn't want to marry them, or move in together even. It doesn't have to be full-on marriage. It could be that you decided not to move in together as well. And that you were able to manifest this outcome, and that it will lead to a happy emotional ending for you, if not for the other person as well. And finally, we are going to pretend that this card from the Tarot of the New Vision has come out in the reverse. And again, just look at how now everything has shifted slightly. Things look a little different. It looks almost like he's reaching out with this wand to break his fall. And I'll draw a couple of cards. So I drew the Four of Swords in the reverse again. I'm going to put it back and pull another card just so that we can get a little variation. Ah, yes. Okay, this will be good. So we have the Ace of Pentacles and the Five of Chalices in the reverse. So, this could mean that there was a great disappointment in the past. You tried to manifest something in the past, and it led to nothing but disappointment. But now, coming in the current situation, or in the near future, you will have the opportunity for a new financial beginning. And again, this Ace of Pentacles being good financial energy, especially in the upright. Aces being about beginnings, and also being about the purest essence of that energy. So also having to do with the purest essence of earth energy, which is another of the passive energies. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it helps you learn more about reading and interpreting tarot cards on your own. If you did like this video, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Leave me comments down below about what you liked about it. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you again.